All right, kids, in a recent video that I made while wondering why more people aren't talking about all the scandals happening in my hometown, I implied that Columbus is something it clearly isn't. And in trying to hold my city accountable while sticking it to Ann Arbor, Michigan, I not only forgot to mention State College, Pennsylvania, but Palm Beach, Florida never came up at all. And come on, if Mar-a-Lago ain't the sex abuse capital of the world, I don't know what is. It's ground zero for where so much touches down. And I'm talking about the commander-in-chief getting handsy in certain people's private planes, not football. With that said, the city that I was born in and raised me has the worst drivers. I will not be corrected.
At the I-71 South 670 interchange in Columbus, Wednesday afternoon, a red van comes to a complete stop in the southbound lanes of 71. Turn signal on. This causes multiple vehicles to also stop, with one there ramming into the rear of the other, causing a pileup crash. And then the red van, see you later.
You can hear the news anchor gently set down his pen in disgust there. And yeah, the driver flees scot-free without having to deal with the destruction they left behind. They're just like Al Sharpton. And that road warrior is apparently also a trendsetter.
I-71 at 5th Avenue. You can see a car in the third lane slow down, miss their exit, and then merge right in an attempt to make the exit. Another car crashes into it. ODOT says the driver who stopped took off. Columbus police are investigating. Tonight, ODOT is asking all drivers, if you miss your exit, just go to the next one.
I live in a place where the news has to remind its citizens to go to the next exit if they miss theirs. And real quick for those that aren't from here, that interchange from these two clips are the exact same, just south of 5th Avenue, which features a street that we used to call the Chicken District or Chicken Alley or 5th and Chicken, because Popeyes, Churches, and KFC were all on the same block, near the freeway that cut off Bronzeville from downtown. Oh, the racism. Anyways, according to QuoteWizard, Columbus ranked as the 4th worst driving city in the country again. I don't want to hear nothing. Columbus is the worst. The group analyzed 2 million car insurance quotes from drivers in the nation's 70 largest cities and evaluated them on 4 factors: accidents, speeding tickets, DUIs, and citations. Additionally, another group said that Columbus has the 12th worst drivers in America. You shut your mouth. Among the data that Clever Move considered, they included average annual traffic fatalities per 100,000 residents from 2014 to 2020. Right, yeah. But like, how do they put a finger on this? Consensually, I hope. This driver said no to being on this highway, and they mean no. So this will be a crash course into recklessness. I don't think I can explain drivers hitting non-automobile structures without going into accidents and fender benders with other cars. We'll focus on legislation and laws, our over-reliance on cars, a lack of public transportation, people's driving limitations, along with a loss of life. As you're about to see, there's a reason why Columbus-themed social media accounts reserve content specifically for how many cars run into houses, businesses, and buildings. And there's at least one, C-Bus Karakazi, that is dedicated to something happening in Columbus that is absurd, while trying to figure out, why does this keep happening? Actually, let's start there. The journalist running the C-Bus Karakazi account admits that no one knows how many vehicle crashes with buildings have happened in Columbus this year, last year, or ever. Underreported, unsubstantiated, and overestimated incidents are a thing. However, according to them, there were at least 65 car-into-building crashes in 2025 alone. This one in particular of a Chevy climbing the steps of Val's Studio Salon won craziest crash of the year. Whether this wreck was due to distracted driving, driving under the influence, or trying to use a Camaro as a skateboard to get down a rail, it was impressive to say the least. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, along with law enforcement around the country, have used campaigns to highlight the consequences of breaking road safety laws, like click it or ticket, drive sober or get pulled over, and tackle and grapple. I snuck a joke in there about cops and sexual violence. The third one, and the first one. Look it up, gross. The point is, who's going to protect folks from the police?
That hole, that's where the Ohio Highway Patrol says the suspect drove through and slammed into that garage this morning. Now, this is what the home looked like this morning when 18-year-old driver slammed his Infiniti into the garage. That's according to the Ohio Highway Patrol, while he was being pursued by troopers. Troopers say the suspect took off when they tried to pull him over for a traffic stop involving car lights that were not on.
Property destruction and the potential for death due to the police's pursuit of headlights. Another joke about sexual violence and cops. Now, in Ohio, it is illegal to use or hold a cell phone or electronic device in your hand, lap, or other parts of the body while driving on Ohio roads. If an officer sees a violation, they can pull you over. In most cases, anything more than a single touch or swipe is against the law. Pro tip, an exception to the rule, drivers holding or using cell phones and other electronic devices while stopped at a traffic light or parked on a road or highway during an emergency or road closure is allowed. Yet, penalties, fines, points on your driver's license, and the possibility of getting your license suspended should be all we need, but no. A sign has to fall out of the sky.
I want you to take a look at the top of your screen there. You see it? As the truck comes around driving with its bed up, it hits that sign, and when it hits the sign over the highway, down it comes.
Columbus drivers isn't just an us problem. As we speak, the Columbus crew is hosting Ecuador's national soccer team as a FIFA World Cup 2026 base camp training site. And in a few years, Columbus will host 9 soccer matches, or football, including 8 group stage and a men's quarterfinal during the soccer tournament for the 2028 Summer Olympics in LA. So I might want to warn people about where not to drive around here. According to a statewide study by Elk and Elk, the most dangerous intersection in Columbus is on the corner of Cleveland Avenue and Morris Road. It not only takes the top spot in Columbus, it is also the most dangerous intersection in Ohio as a whole. 24 of the top 50 most dangerous intersections in Ohio were located in Columbus, the most of any city in the state. Look, I know that most people watching won't be familiar with these streets. So if you need me to slow down or even back up, I got you. It's what we do, I guess.
Take a look at this video. It was shared today by an ODOT spokesperson. In the bottom right corner there, a car stops and then starts to back up in the middle of the highway. Freeway speeds here, folks, and it has a long way to go to back up to get to its exit that it missed.
A few people have died recently due to the actions of those driving the wrong way on the freeway. It's no laughing matter. I assume that the same mindset that led to that led to cars hitting houses, businesses, and buildings. With all of that said, why does this keep happening? I can't attribute it to one thing. The NHTSA suggests these pathways to safer streets. We know about distracted and impaired driving and incompetence seen nationally. Then there's the horrible infrastructure and the low curbs, constant potholes, and construction featured in Columbus that I can speak on. And for one, a rule established under the Obama administration made it easier for U.S. automakers to manufacture bigger cars, trucks, and SUVs. These vehicles have to meet tougher emissions and mileage standards than light trucks, but have the mechanics of cars. The demand for larger cars began in the early 2000s, and in the U.S., over 75% of all new cars sold are now SUVs, pickups, or crossovers. Between 2013 and 2023, the average car grew about 12% in length and 17% in width. And don't get me wrong, I know which political ideology prioritizes pickups. And maybe it's just me, but I usually only see these princesses driving alone while never really using their truck beds for anything. Not only are our cars large, but 2, there are more of them. We're running out of room. This isn't to say that adding more lanes to highways will make things better. See, induced demand. If you build it, they will come. Another joke about the police and... No, never mind. Besides, can you picture a Columbus driver going from the fast lane on the left, for those that don't know somehow, across 5 more lanes in order to get to the exit? Well, you don't have to, because now I don't have any footage like that yet. I've only been using clips from the past year as of me recording this. That's bad enough. And 3, we actually can't really blame traffic here. A new report from Consumer Affairs ranks Columbus 39th in the nation for traffic congestion. According to the study, drivers spend an average of just under 2.5 hours each weekday dealing with jams. I don't have an exhaustive list, but you should know that much of what I've shown you has been at night with less cars on the road, so there's that. The more I think about it, humans are just bad at driving.
Well, what we've got is a very simple mock-up of a single lane and busy motorway. Everyone's going to try and drive the same speed, but driver behaviour is not perfect. Some people go a little bit faster, some people go a bit slower, and the traffic will start to bunch up.
As Eddie predicted, some of the drivers start to vary their speeds, and the distance between the cars changes. They begin to bunch up, and sure enough, a cluster of vehicles comes to a standstill. A phantom traffic jam has formed.
For no reason. There was a similar experiment conducted in Japan, which took place prior to this one, that got the same results. One of the top comments from that video quoted these men as saying, "The most efficient way to reduce traffic is for all cars to drive at a constant speed at a fixed distance from the car in front of them." Like a train. Don't get me started on the train thing. Columbus is the only major U.S. city without a train station. We've been asking for passenger rail, and better busing for that matter, for a long time. Columbus should be connected to Cleveland and Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh, Detroit, Indianapolis, Chicago too, by public transportation. We're too reliant on driving. America was designed with cars in mind. Even with that, we didn't have to put highways through cities, just to them. Why did we make this decision? Racism again? 27% of downtown Columbus is designated parking lots. Those could be places to live or parks. There's been passenger rail proposals within the last few months, as well as 5 approved projects. What are we waiting for? Money? To be used to beat the oil and gas, rubber and tire, police precinct, ticket revenue, and tollway lobbies that don't want to compete with trains, evidently. I don't want to compete with cars for the sake of safety. Not even a safety patrol truck stands a chance. This huge truck with a whole sign hanging off the back of it might as well be a stale, stagnant building at this point. I mean, stupid. I should demand that people stay safe while behind the wheel, and I am, and I will. But I feel like we know that. However, the absurdity going on in Columbus means that maybe once a week, people can't feel secure in random driveways, porches, living rooms, entrances, lobbies, foyers, vestibules, and waiting rooms. Oh, and garages. The crash that I showed earlier of a car going through a garage was the aftermath of a kid who stole a car. Which reminds me, Ohio has the graduated driver licensing law for drivers 15 and a half to 18. That law has 3 parts: temporary permit, probationary driver's license, and full license / no restrictions. Furthermore, Ohio teens up to age 20 will be required to complete 50 hours of driving practice supervised by a licensed adult and take an Ohio-approved Class D driver training course to receive a driver's license. I hope that helps. Adults could use additional education and training and practice as well. Too many aren't aware or don't respect the zipper method while on the expressway. Hey, the guy who came to a complete stop on the freeway, he pled guilty to reckless operation of a motor vehicle with willful and wanton disregard for safety. He had his license suspended for a few months and was placed on probation for a little while in order to pay a $50 fine plus court costs. The driver said he was following GPS and missed the exit, and I can't believe I have to say this, but I wish the police would have done more. Or a judge would have done more. Columbus has the worst drivers in America. Don't try to change my mind. It's not gonna work. This is opposite Steven Crowder and Charlie Kirk table work. If you're gonna leave a comment or to argue with me, tell me if you use the words highway, freeway, or expressway to explain interstates and such. And we're gonna be all right.